Just Friday, we said that we talked to the president. Roger did. Another one of my sources did, very close to me. Not going to get into that source. Who talked to the president Friday. And the president was strongly looking at it and said, barring any new information from Pompeo, the CIA director, that he's going to release it. And that's what Roger said on Friday. It's what I said my source said. And you notice on Saturday morning, the president tweeted that barring any new information, that he was going to release the information next Friday. Because the president can block the release of it. And Obama and George Bush did block the last 2 times they were going to release it. And boy, do they have to eat crow now. If you read the New York Times, the Washington Post, the LA Times, the Chicago Tribune, it says that, okay, Roger Stone and Alex Jones broke the information on Friday. Now, that same day, they all reported that we had made it up. They said, fake news, Alex Jones had Roger Stone on, and they claim they talked to the president, and well, we've talked to our sources, and it's not going to be released. Yeah, because Pompeo, who does a pretty good job overall, I actually like a lot of what he's doing, focusing, spying on, foreign enemies, not the American people, and not trying to use the CIA as a globalist tool to deindustrialize the nation. But Pompeo has been fighting with the president not to release it and thought he had the ear of the president. But as of now, it's going to be released, and who knows what's going to be in there. Some little birds have looked over it and know what the body of it is, and a lot of it is the information given to the Warren Commission back in the 60s and the Congressional Commission in the 70s. Now, the Congressional Commission you never hear about, but it's the one that found that more than one gunman did kill the president and that he was killed in a conspiracy, probably organized by the CIA. Boy, don't you wish Jim Mars, the professor who just died a few months ago, was still here? First guy to ever teach a college course on JFK assassination. He was a Fort Worth Star-Telegram reporter when that happened. He was older than he looked. He was a nice little garden gnome, good friend of mine. I was literally about to call him up that week to get him back on the show. I'm like, where's Jim been? He usually calls and wants on the show. I was telling my producers, let's get him on the next month. Boom. I went home that day. George Norrie called me and said, don't say this yet. I just got calls from his family. He just died minutes ago. Anyways, good old Jim. I know he's looking down from heaven. He knew there was a spiritual thing to this whole deal. He knew Jack Ruby. He used to go to the same bar. Now, back then it was more classy. It was burlesque, but there was only one in Dallas. And he was 21, already a reporter on the crime beat, and knew old Jack Ruby. What a storyteller. He could certainly break down some things. But I am digressing, getting into old yarns here. It's Twilight Zone to imagine, though, that I, in 2017, would have direct conduits to the president and that we would be breaking that the JFK files are about to come out. So we have a pretty good idea of what's in those files, and we're going to tell you coming up at the start of the next hour. Now, even if I had sources, I wouldn't tell you I got it from classified sources. I just say I have a pretty good idea what is going to be in those files next Friday. So I'm going to stop right there. Now, a bunch of publications, including BBC, there's an article up on Infowars.com about this, made jokes about the president. BBC journalist defends tweet about Trump motorcade after JFK doc announcements. After announcing the release of documents for the JFK assassination, President Trump goes on an uneventful motor ride. So they're just making their jokes about him being suicided or assassinated, Arkancided. Let's play a clip of off the rails. I don't know who's more senile and batty. Is it somebody like the Democrat leader in the House, Nancy Pelosi, or is it Maxine Waters? Because, this other Congresswoman, Frederica Williams, she says, don't call me stupid. That's racist. Well, lady, you are stupid, and you're a jerk, and you're a creep, and you lied about what was in the phone call, or you lied about listening in. Now it turns out you were there. And, again, you're all hat, no cattle. I don't care if you're black or white. You're a bunch of crazy old women. We're tired of you. Now she demands an apology from Kelly for character assassination. She keeps wearing that stupid cowboy hat. I think it's dumb with men that own cattle ranches of 20,000 head wear cowboy hats on TV. Cowboy hats for out in the sun, woman. Don't ever see me wearing a cowboy hat? And I got cows. And I got a ranch. I got a ranch that we got from the Mexicans. We paid for it. You got one of those? Stop wearing a cowboy hat. Stop it. Excuse me. Let's go ahead and go to a clip of Off the Rails Maxine Waters saying she's, oh, and by the way, YouTube's been taking this video down everywhere. Not claiming even copyright. They just don't want you to see her unhinged. Here it is.
Wow. What a moving evening this is. I am sitting here listening, watching, absorbing, thinking about Ali, even though I never met him. And with this kind of inspiration, I will go and take Trump out tonight.
I will go and take him out tonight. That's definitely the tenor, you know, hashtag hunt Republicans. Now, then they claim we're the ones that are calling for violence. Let's go ahead now, clear shades of violence there. Let's play Joe Rogan making his point that he thinks Trump's smart to do this, and I agree. Here it is.
Did you hear that Donald Trump's going to open up the JFK dump? How about that? All the dump of documents from the JFK that had been sealed up by all the other presidents, like the JFK assassination investigation, they sealed some documents up because they're too sensitive.
I know.
Like whatever those documents are
Why
in.
wouldn't they shred those documents?
Why
would damning documents exist?
Because these are people from 1962.
Also, Trump for sure focused on something else than this. Huh?
Well, hey, this is not a bad thing to focus on.
There's so many other things we could focus on. I hear you.
For sure. But first of all, no one really can be president. Let's be honest. There's not a single person that could focus on the economy and healthcare and international relations. But he can do good things. Environment and like, there's no way.
He can kill TPP. He can cut the taxes.
Sure, but there's not enough time in the world to focus on any of those things.
Agree.
So
you know what he should focus on? Donald Trump should focus on the Vegas shooting. He hasn't said shit about it. That's how we're ending it. You know what I mean?
Well, Eddie Bravo's got a good point.
You think there was some shady shit going on?
But here's the thing about this Kennedy assassination. One of the reasons why, if I was him, I would focus on the Kennedy assassination is they might f***ing kill him.
InfoWars has partnered with Defender Body Armor to bring you a new state-of-the-art line of advanced, highly tested body armor from InfoWarsStore.com. Defender Body Armor is certified to protect against all handgun rounds and even armor-piercing FN 5.7 pistol rounds. The secret to Defender Body Armor is its proprietary processing technology that disperses more kinetic energy at a rate higher than any other traditional body armor, using one of the strongest synthetic materials ever created, called ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene. Defender armor is also super compact and lightweight. There's a reason the Department of Defense chose Defender to manufacture their new line of advanced lightweight armor. It works. Defender Body Armor is made right here in America and has received the highest level ballistic resistant certification from an authorized NIJ ballistic laboratory. Defender Body Armor is now available through InfoWarsStore.com, so you can defend yourself, your family, and finance the info war against the globalists all at the same time. A total 360 win.
I really like skiing deep powder. I really like flying helicopters. That was the genesis of the idea.
There's so many people now that really consider their pet their family, and they want them to be comfortable.
JT and I started this company with $6,000. The traditional industry thought we were crazy. You know, with that constraint, we had to make the most of our money since the beginning.
We tried all sorts of different ways to advertise. We did print advertising, radio advertising, and we've gotten rid of a lot of that stuff.
YouTube is great for people that are just starting a new business or small business owners like myself, because we're all on a budget. As you see that business is growing, you can always add to that at any time.
Video does allow us to make an emotional connection. You know, you say a picture's worth 1,000 words, and video's worth 1,000,000.
Through YouTube video advertising, we're able to know that a view is a real view.
We have doubled almost every year since we started.
This is what people have been waiting for all along.
Infowars.com is fake news. And they say that because they're the fake news. And every day and every week and every month and every year, we prove over and over again that you learn what's going to happen here days, weeks, months, years, or decades before. But most of the time, it's because I've read the congressional hearing on the JFK assassination that was bigger and more in-depth than the Warren Commission, and it said multiple shooters, probably the CIA. So I sound really smart 53 years later when it's all coming out. Or Roger Stone, who's been friends for 43, 44 years with President Trump, the former head of his 2 campaigns, talks to him, and the president sounded like he was going to release it, barring new info. That's what Roger said Friday. The media ran all these headlines saying, oh, let Roger Stone and Alex Jones say this, but our sources say it's not going to be released. Yeah, Pompeo, I'm not against Pompeo, but that's who's pressuring him. Trump tweets on Saturday morning, no, barring new info, I'm going to release it. So they just can't stand the fact that we don't just have the sources because we're honorable, but we're pro-America and we're winning. We just saw the new Czech billionaire modeled after Trump, a populist, win by a huge margin. We just saw a patriot modeled after Trump win in Austria. We see it in Australia. We see Catalonia trying to break away in a Trump-type movement. We see Reykjavik, Iceland. We see Brazil moving in that direction. We see Brexit. We see it everywhere. People don't want to be under a big private corporate new world order. Then you have Frederica Wilson coming out, lying about the president, getting caught lying. She wasn't on the phone call. He didn't say the things she said he said. Wearing her big fake cowboy hat, like Pocahontas over there. Elizabeth Warren saying she's an Indian. They're playing cowboys and Indians. She's falling on her face, saying General Kelly is a racist because he called her stupid. I'll call you evil. You're like a clown, witch. So all of this is happening, but Antifa is planning the terror attacks on November 4th. Who knows what's coming? We're in the fight. We're starting to win, but it's like we lost the first 6 rounds. Now at round 10, we're winning and winning handily. There's 2 rounds left, baby, in heavyweight championship for the whole world's future. Roger Stone joins us. It isn't about a victory lap, but man, we're right. Man, we're on target. Man, we are just dead on, and they can't stand it, can they, Roger?
No, Alex, they really can't. First of all, let me say I'm extraordinarily proud of our president, Donald Trump, because I know that the deep state and the intelligence agencies tried to pressure him not to release these documents. After 50 years, when you have Gerald Posner, the New York Times bestselling author and supporter of the Warren Commission in his book, team with Roger Stone, who wrote The Man Who Killed Kennedy, the case against LBJ, and we both call for transparency, the president absolutely did the right thing. The danger now, Alex, is not allowing the deep state to redact and hold back so much material in these 3,100 files that they become useless. A kind of a backdoor nullification of the president's courageous decision using the phony claim of national security to cover their. And that was my next
question is, what do you think is going to be released? Because we know from the Congressional Commission and our deep research what's in the files. A lot of it's leaked. So we should, A, get to that next, but let's do B first. The big fear is Obama said we're going to release the 9/11 files, but they were all blacked out.
Yeah, look, we know from the very last data release of these materials that we have J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI director, telling Lyndon Baines Johnson, the president, that the KGB has conducted their own independent investigation and determined that LBJ was the ringleader in John Kennedy's murder. We have documentation from the previous dump that French intelligence told Jacqueline Kennedy that they concluded Lyndon Johnson was culpable. We have Bobby Baker, right-hand man to Lyndon Johnson, saying to one of John Kennedy's top aides, John Kennedy will not live out his term and he will die a violent death. This is at the 1961 inauguration. So there's no telling what the next tranche could be. I expect that we will find additional ties to Lyndon Johnson, and the CIA and their long-term ties to Oswald, which they've been pretty adept at covering up, may finally come to light.
To be clear, you talked to the president. He said, look, barring new info, I'm probably going to do it. You on air said he's leaning towards, I think he'll do the right thing. It's supposed to come out next Friday. Do you think Pompeo or others can get to him and stop him? Or will they go the end run and say, okay, sir, we will, but again, completely black it out?
Look, there's no chance that he's going to reverse himself on this, and the public reaction to it, I think, has been quite positive. No, I think that they may seek the back door. In July, there was a more limited dump of material, Alex, and far too much of it was redacted and held back. I will be the first to go public if this is an attempt by the deep state to countermand what the president has ordered, hoping that he doesn't notice. The president's committed to transparency. And there's so many things that we'd like to know. I'd like to see if there's any further evidence of Ted Cruz's father's involvement with Oswald. We know that Judith Very Baker, who is definitely connected to Oswald in the Warren Commission report, has said publicly that she knew Angel Cruz as part of Lee's crew in New Orleans. So there's a lot of things here that could be extraordinarily interested regarding this upcoming dump.
Sure, and let's stop right there. Obviously, since you were the head of the campaign and the media made stuff about you and the fake Russiagate thing has now collapsed. We know it was the Clintons doing it, so they tried to blame the people exposing it like yourself, Julian Assange and others, myself, just totally asinine. Anderson Cooper, they said, Anderson Cooper attacked people saying they must be, agents of Russia. They blamed Tucker Carlson, said he may be one. Clearly, they're the ones involved is why they're scared. But now maybe in hindsight, you can get into some of the other conversations with the president. Because I remember during the campaign, we talked on air and privately saying, look, it looks like Ted Cruz's dad, was involved, was CIA. We know it looks like him. We know he was there. We think if we bring this out, Cruz will drop out. Trump did it after you and others talked to him. It came out, and then his dad dropped out 2 days later. You talk about running for the hills. You want to talk about that conversation now? I think it's newsworthy.
Well, look, I would say this. Donald Trump is his own man.
No, I know that, but you gave him the intel. Just say it.
That said, Alex, he loves nothing better than giving the needle to his opponents, the way he did to little Marco Rubio, the way he did to Lion Ted Cruz. So he saw the opportunity to needle Ted Cruz about a photograph that comes from the Warren Commission report that certainly looks like Angel Raphael Cruz.
And his father lived there, and his father had the connections, and our sources say it was him.
We have a witness who says it was him, Judith Very Baker. So the president never misses an opportunity to needle his opponent.
And then he dropped out right after it came out.
Yeah, no, it was devastating. It was meant to drive Ted Cruz crazy. And if you saw the videos that day, he was drooling. He was arguing with
I'm just saying, you never take credit for the stuff that I'm even halfway involved in. I'm very proud of.
Well, look, I think it's all covered in my book, The Making of the President 2016. And the role of InfoWars, the role of the alt-right media, it's all there. I commend it to you.
Well, amazing. And again, alt-right, Hillary's term, that's fine. But, we really are the new right, aren't we?
Well, we are. The other thing I want to point out, because this is important historically, Alec, you were the one who covered the E. Howard Hunt deathbed confessions in which Hunt said that this was a CIA operation, that he was on the ground.
I'm your host, Alex Jones. News.